So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Private Victories podcast. This is the September Roundup, which is funny because I'm actually recording this on the 25th of October, which, my team's been shouting at me for, but look, here I am. Also, another thing to mention is I don't have Tristan with me today. It is Sunday at 3:57 p.m. Also, just a heads up, the lighting might change because in the UK, I don't know why, there's just, and then again, I'm not sure whether they do this in different other parts of the world. I don't think they do for the most part. It's definitely not standard, but here in the UK, we have these odd traditions, and one of them is for, I believe 5 or 6 months of the year, it's BST. I think it's British Summertime or British Standard Time or something like that. And then for the other 6 months of the year, it's GMT, Greenwich Mean Time, I believe. Don't quote me on that. But my point is, here in the UK, on October 24th, the clocks go back an hour, and that is just something we do here. So anyways, my point is, if you're watching this on video, the lighting might change slightly because now the sun sets 1 hour earlier. So sun sets 4:45, and this is really how you know that you are in the you're coming into wintertime. I love autumn. It's probably my favorite season. But yeah, definitely as it starts to get more into like December time, I crave to leave London, which is exactly what I'm doing this year. I'm going back to Cape Town again for another 3 months. Cape Town was, and here's the thing, if any of you guys are watching this and you have the ability to, I've said this before, find a part of the world, like I'm not going back to Cape Town to like party and this and that, like I'm going back to Cape Town for monk mode. From February to July, when I came back to London, those were the most productive months of my entire life. I got more done in the first 6 months of this year than I've done, than I was meant to do in the entirety of the year. Especially with the agency, who made really big leaps and bounds with the agency this year in those 3, 4, 5 month period. But if you have the ability to go somewhere and just knuckle down. I think the most beautiful thing about it for me with Cape Town is it's kind of similar. It's sort of different to Bali. I mean, Bali, everyone pretends they're going to go to Bali and work. Very, very few people do. It's very hard with the humidity and just like the sort of lifestyle and this and that. Whereas Cape Town, it feels like a first world country. It feels almost like a even more rundown LA. So it's nice. And, I like, even in the summer in Cape Town, you can wear jeans and a t-shirt and like, I don't know, just like, I don't know. I'm a big, big fan of Cape Town. And for me, I can get a lot of work done there. So I'm actually leaving London because it is winter here and it's summer in Cape Town. So I'm going back to Cape Town for 3 months. But that is not the topic of discussion for today. I have 3 things lined up for this September roundup. And the first, because I know that everyone is going to be asking, is the glasses. Well, actually, let's rewind because I forgot to mention. As I said, if you're watching this on video, I apologize. It's just going to be one camera angle today. No Tristan. And yeah, I just really need to get this done. As I said, it's almost November, so I really need to get this September roundup done. So let's start off. First topic of conversation is these blue light blockers that I'm wearing. And ladies and gents, if you're listening to this on audio only, I apologize. You can probably just go look at my Instagram. I believe it was early September. I posted something basically just with the team when we were looking at the first prototypes of Gadzhi. Now, I want to talk about these blue light blockers, and then I kind of want to talk about the metrics of an e-commerce business because people just don't understand how hard it is. Of my 3 businesses, it is by far the hardest in my opinion. It's just hyper competitive, and look, we'll get into it. So these are the blue light blockers I am wearing, and I've been, we've been working on this. This has been a concept for probably over 12 months, end to end, from the, first idea, the first conception to getting them to the point they are now, which is just ready to launch. And these puppies are launching mid-December. The goal was actually to have them launch end of October, but basically everything's been pushed back this year. So as you can see right here, as I said, I apologize for anyone watching on, just listening in on the audio only version. I guess you're just gonna have to visualize it. So this is the branding, the box right here. This is the box it comes in. And my goal with Gadzhi has always been just keep it as sleek and minimal as possible. That's just, it's been important to me. This is the box it comes in. And then when you open it up, you can see little bit of velvet right there. You open up and here they are. I never wanted any branding on the side. So like there's a little right here, right where the ear hook is. But once again, like when you're wearing them, no one can see it. And I've had tons of people be like, look, why don't you add some branding and this and that? And, you know, quite simply, the answer is for me, most of my collection, you know, well, I guess today's a little different. I'm, you know, just wearing this baggy Rude hoodie or this baggy Rude shirt. This is my normal sort of style. You guys know my normal sort of style. It is just toned down, simple colors, solid and timeless. Like that's kind of my style. And you know, for me, it's important. Like I don't really like branding on stuff, as I said, unless I'm, you know, just having a lazy day in, and you know, just wearing a cool graphic T-shirt or something like that. But these are the glasses. This is actually one of the glasses that we are not running with. This is just one of the prototypes. So we came back with 7 final colors, and we're actually going with, I believe it's tortoise, blue cobalt, which is what I'm wearing, which is my personal favorite. So tortoise, blue cobalt, matte black, crystal, and then there's another one, and then there's one more. Yeah, wait. Tortoise, matte black, cobalt blue, crystal, and then I think it's a gray. I think that's the other one. Yeah, don't quote me. I believe it's a shiny gray. So, or maybe it's matte. I don't know. I forget. Long story short, this is the glasses. Now, these are extortionately expensive, And, you know, I have a couple buddies in eyewear, actually 3 or 4, and they've all said the same thing to me, which is like, dude, you are really, really going over the odds here in terms of the quality, in terms of the pricing. Yeah, these are, of all my friends, and these are some of my buddies who literally own eyewear businesses that do 200, 300, 400K a month. And they all say the same thing, which is like, as I said, this is extortionately expensive, and this is by far the most expensive out of their entire range by multiples of 3 or 4 even. So yeah, they're very, very expensive to make, very, very expensive to produce, but that is important to me. Now, I'll give you guys a little update on Gadzhi. I am yearning to spend 20, 30, 50, 100K a month on advertising, on influencers, especially when it comes to advertising. Like, you know, this is our forte. The issue with Gadzhi at the moment right now is the people that the people that know the designs love the designs. You know what private victories means, marginal gains, like these concepts. We do. For me with Gadzhi, it's always just been concepts that are near and dear to my heart, even things like this 2 shall pass, and messages that are near and dear to my heart. And I wanted to have it on really high quality clothing, and in a way that's just not tacky and not cheesy. You see a lot of these like quote pages, and they have like print on demand BS, and just, I don't know, like I just think a lot of clothing out there is really cringy. And that's the last thing I wanted from Gadzhi. Now, that's awesome. The issue with it is it's really, really hard to advertise to our current lineup, because first of all, we have a season model where it's like we're basically starting again from scratch every single time. That's number one. And the other issue is the fact that, like, look, people love the designs if you know what it is, but if you don't know what it is, or you haven't been exposed to these concepts before, like it really means nothing to you. So it's extremely, extremely hard to advertise for Gadzhi. In fact, we haven't done it. And in fact, with Gadzhi, we spend 10 pounds a day on retargeting, and that's literally it. Because first of all, I will say, I know that every single time, we come out with a new season, it's gonna be, we try to aim for 3-4 months, but I know, it might be, this time it's even longer. It might be 3, 4, 5, 6 months until the next lineup comes out. So for me, I know it's gonna sell out anyway, so I don't need to advertise it to a cold audience. Now there is you could pose the question of like, why don't you just sell it out and then do a restock? I don't think Gadzhi is at that place yet where I can spend 20, 30, 40, 50, 100K a month on advertising. Next year it will be. So I'll tell you guys a little bit about where I'm going with Gadzhi. I love especially season 3, like at the time of recording this, or even at the time of this going out, season 3 should be out in 1 to 2 weeks. And I love season 3. I mean, I adore season 2, and I have so much love for season 1 as well. So I guess, I love all the seasons, but at the end of the day, my, 98% of my wardrobe, and I know, outside of digital marketing, the thing that people always constantly ask me about is number one, clothing, and number two, music. That's questions I get a lot. So I know people like my style because it's so simple and timeless, right? So with Gadzhi, the way that we're going next year is we're going to have a core collection of 10 to 12 pieces. And just, like these are the staples that I wear. We're talking, these are the staples that I wear with little touches. We're talking hoodies, we're talking trousers, we're talking just long sleeve, raw edge t-shirts. Like, the sort of stuff that I'm spending 300 pounds and then getting a tailor to work on at Acne Studios. Like, all this high-end stuff that I'm buying anyways, I want to go ahead and make that into a core collection of 10 to 12 pieces and still do the season model, except do that, maybe three season drops a year. And then the other thing, after every 3 seasons, I want to do a archives collection. So basically the best-selling pieces from the last 3 seasons. So that's basically the goal for Gadzhi in 2021. And these right here, these blue light blockers, to me are going to be the key to scaling Gadzhi to 7 figures next year. At the current stage, like Gadzhi is such a cute little side thing. It doesn't do crazy numbers. It does, if we average it out, obviously there's the big spike when we do the season launches. It does around 10 grand a month rev, which is a bit of a joke, if I'm being honest. Like if you look at the other businesses, it's such a little blip, and it's so irresponsible for me to even have Gadzhi, if I'm being honest. But then again, it doesn't take too much of my focus away. And at the end of the day, this is a passion project for me. And it's something that I can see scaling to 7-8 figures a year. Like I know this is something we can ramp up. And even the clients that we've done this for, like our e-commerce clients, we have personally at the agency produced results that would lead to a 7 and multi-7 figure a year run rate for our clients. So it's like, rather than just selling our clients' product, why don't we just sell Gadzhi? But as I said, Gadzhi isn't ready at the moment to be launched to a cold audience. So next year, the goal is to be spending, 20 to 50K a month on ads and primarily actually influencers. And I want to start off with just London-based influencers. The only thing that I want to run to cold are these glasses because we have done it for clients before, specifically eyewear, and we know that we can do it. And we know that it's something that, as I said, we've literally done it for a client before. So why wouldn't we just do it for ourselves? So, and the other big advantage I have, and this is a huge advantage in clothing and e-commerce, is I'm totally fine breaking even on Gadzhi. I don't need to make money. Honestly, I couldn't care less about it. And what that means is I can advertise these at a break even at scale, and that just brings people into the brand and then shows them some of the other core collections. So that's really where we're taking Gadzhi in 2021. I will be very upset if we do less than $500,000 rev next year from Gadzhi. As I said, profit-wise, and you guys know me, you guys know profit is always the key barometer that I work off of, and it's really, to me, the only thing that matters in business. In this case, as I said, it's a little different because I have my real businesses. I have IAG Media, like I have my main cash cow. I have GrowYourAgency.com, which is sort of I say it's my passion project, but it's the thing where I could see it growing into a huge. I could see that growing into $1 billion company, right? And exiting it at some point once we build out. I won't say anymore. But once we build out the next phases over the next 5-10 years, so Gadzhi, that's kind of where I'm at with the clothing line. And yeah, guys, it's tough. Like honestly, it is tough. I even. 3 weeks ago, I just sent a wire for 56,000 pounds. So that's like $70,000-ish for the stock for the initial batch of these glasses. And, for me to send $70,000 and keep in mind, I'm not even going to see the inkling of return on investment on that, or even just flip over in revenue, let alone, being ROI positive on that initial stock purchase. Just even recouping any of that cash, it's going to be 90 days. Right, because production has just been super slow this year. It's been really, really tough. And as I said, these we're looking to launch them mid-December if everything goes to plan. And I really hope everything does go to plan. So, guys, e-commerce is tough. It is super, super, super tough. Now, it's funny because we kind of have the opposite issue to most people. We know how to market. Like that's no issue. We know how to advertise. Influencer marketing is still very new to us at the team, but like everything from the web side of things, from email marketing side of things. Like this is what we do. This is what we do for our clients, and this is also what we do at GrowYourAgency.com. So, outward facing, we're an advertising agency, but inward facing, we're basically like a full stack, we're a full stack, full service agency, right? So we have all that capability right within the team. Our issue right now is we just need I want to be 100% bulletproof with my product selection. And, the quality of Gadzhi is on another level. You even, I can't put into words, and I can't really tell you guys right now, but I have had multiple friends tell me this. This Rude shirt right here, I have 405 pounds, like a $500, t-shirt right here. And I have had many friends, well, actually all my friends be like, first of all, design wise, I would take the season 3 long sleeve, and quality wise, I would take the season 3 long sleeve over this any day. So I'm so proud of just the quality, the packaging, the experience that you get with Gadzhi, but it's just product selection wise to then go mass market with it. It's really tough with the season model. So as I said, I'm really excited for the core collection, 10-12 pieces. Core collection, 10-12 pieces. And then, as I said, the blue light blockers are something that we know we can advertise and convert to a cold audience. And as I said, rather than, for a client where we have to advertise profitably, for myself, I am 100% fine just advertising this to a cold audience at break even, because I said that brings people into the brand, and that is my really big competitive advantage that I have as a clothing line owner compared to other people. But as I said, that's only possible because of my agency, really, because I have this cash cow producing for me every single month. So ladies and gents, mid-December, you can look forward to seeing these puppies right here, and I'm very excited for you to see them. So, ladies and gents, moving on to the second thing that I want to talk about in September Roundup, and that is something that I was mulling over a lot in September, and that was just character. There's a couple, honestly, from February until July was just the most incredible. I was in total bliss. My life was just, easy, and I was really at peace from, let's say March until July. I was just awesome. And then July, August, September really tested me. And, that's a video for another day. But September, there's a lot of things that made me, as I said, mull over the idea of character and one's character and what character means, and the importance of honesty with oneself. Because look, at the end of the day, you can be honest with, you can be honest out, and a lot of people do, believe that's one of their virtues. They would consider themselves very honest outwardly, but inwardly, that is a totally different game. And I think one of the biggest things about character is how honest you are with yourself inwardly, and things can really fester if you let them, and things can, I've seen a lot of people at war with themselves because of this internal conflict and battle, because, as I said, at the end of the day, they are not honest with themselves. Now, one big thing that I had to face with that is, I'm sure you guys saw my last podcast, which actually got taken down on YouTube. Thank you so much, YouTube. And I got a channel strike for that, so all good there. Very exciting. By the way, if you guys ever missed that one, and you guys, I'm not gonna mention it, but let's just say everything that's going on in the world, the big 2020 thing. As many of you guys know, I made a podcast with it about it, and brought on my good buddy Richard, and he had 74 references that he used. So yeah, it was that podcast was bulletproof end to end. Anyways, one of the things that I had to face, and by the way, guys, another thing you need to realize is I'm learning new things every single day. I'm not perfect. And one thing that I had people mention was because I did initially, I actually ended up, it was the first protest I've ever been to. I ended up going to the anti-lockdown protest, because one of my buddies mentioned it. He's like, oh, there's this thing, I'd be really interested to go. And I was like, yeah, actually, why don't I just bring my, my Leica and just burn through some rolls and, just witness this historic moment. So I ended up going and did a post about it, and then from there about COVID and basically how this entire thing is total bullshit. Yeah, I mean, just listen to that podcast if you want more context on that, or at least the response to it is total bullshit. And I don't think it takes a genius to figure that one out. But one of the and I had a lot of rebuttal and a lot of pushback from it. I'd say 75% was totally positive, and 25% was just it was just like pure disdain for me. And a lot of very like interesting comments about, me being like a spoiled brat and like insensitive and this and that. And, after that, even with the whole Richard podcast thing, and September was another one of those situations where like I had to face myself in the mirror and I go, okay, if you know something is wrong, why do you still do it? And one of those things was actually masks. And I know masks seem like, because initially this was my reaction when like, I have other friends and they're, spiritual badasses, and they're, for example, Richard, and, Rich is more on the sort of Jungian psychology front. He's, forefront. That's like where he excels. And, I have a lot of these friends, and, I remember when they first started talking to me about, mask, like I was just, like I was like, look, they're inconvenient. Well, okay. Well, at that point, I was like, look, they're inconvenient. But even if they help lower the infection rate slightly, then just might as well wear it. And the more and more time went on, I realized no, like it's a symbol for something much, much larger. And one of my buddies made a reference to, look, if someone tells you to wear a red band, would you do it? And if the entire world was telling you to do it, and you go, realistically, yeah, I would. And then you go, what about if there's a swastika on it? And you go, of course no, I never would. And you go, well, really, what's the difference? And it's so funny because you look back even 100 years ago, and people look back and they look at racial segregation, and they look back at the Holocaust, and they're like, I don't understand how these people did this. I don't know how some, a monstrosity like this could have gone on. And yet I look at everything that's going on in the world right now, and I look at it in the same way, because people don't understand that like this will lead to one of, if not the worst depressions in the last few centuries. And, economy has this like super dirty word, like it's a super dirty connotation. And people don't understand that, whether you like it or not, the economy is the biggest determining factor to the health, happiness, and livelihood of the world. So, I don't know. The way that I view everything going on in the world right now are genuinely crimes against humanity. And the reason I was saying all this is like I even had to look at myself, and also keep in mind, guys, like I genuinely believed in some efficacy of the mask until probably around mid-August, late August. Like for me, it was like, do I really think that the way that I viewed it was, this thing is bullshit. It's totally out, the response to it is totally disproportionate to the actual death rate. And I mean, you can just look at the official numbers now. Like as I said, like there's things that I can argue back and forth about with someone for a long time. Look, if someone wants to have a debate with me about vaccines, if someone wants to have a debate with me about a religion, like, and by the way, I'm not stating my opinion on either of those right now. I'll go back and forth. Like I think there's genuinely a conversation to be had there. At this point, I just simply cannot entertain a conversation with someone about what's going on in the world right now, because I just think you have to be an idiot. If I'm just being honest, like using the official government body's own numbers, using their own numbers, right? Because as I said, if we want to get into my world, I will take you down many different avenues as to why this is actually happening and the deeper reasoning behind it. But let's just go from a purely scientific perspective. Use your own numbers. The death rate's less than the flu at this point. Like it's just like I'm curious. I just don't understand how like people are still being brainwashed into having any sort of response to this. So anyways, the way that I saw it up until late August was, look, this thing is bullshit, but at the end of the day, masks, they do more good than bad. And I got to a point where I realized early September was just like, and I finally listened, no, the masks are doing way more bad than they are good, right? And I'm talking about this purely from a psychological perspective. This like muzzling, this removing of identity, of character, and the entire culture around it as well. I'm gonna play something, and this was sent to me by one of my buddies actually a couple days ago. So this wasn't really a September thought, but I'm gonna play a little clip from Jordan Peterson now that kind of drills home my point. So I'm gonna let that.
Here's an example from popular culture. In the Harry Potter series, Harry Potter's obviously the hero of the story, but he's touched by malevolence, right? The only reason he can stand up against evil is because there's some evil in him that he's incorporated, essentially. Well, and that's exactly right. And the persona, if you're a persona, then you're an obedient citizen. But the problem with being an obedient citizen is that if the society tells you to march the Jews off to the death camp, for example, and you're obedient, then that's what you'll do. And it isn't like society is civilized and then all of a sudden you're performing some act of atrocity. That isn't how it works. It's like you're obedient citizen and then you're asked to violate your conscience a little bit.
Yeah.
And you have to, because you don't have anything other than that persona. And that's obedience. And so a little more obedience is demanded and you say, okay, well, and then you're a little bent, because the society is becoming a little bent, and then you're a little weaker. Then you're asked to violate your conscience a little bit more, and you think, well, there's a little less of me, and the pressure's on a little more, and I could have said no before, but I didn't. So you say yes again, then you say yes again, and then you have a society where 1/3 of the population is informing on the other 2/3. It's hell. It's like, well, so how do you say no? Well, that's the shadow. It's like, and the reason that the video I did about Bill C-16 and its compelled speech provisions went viral was because I said no. I didn't say it casually. What I meant was, there isn't anything that you can do to me that I can imagine that will force me to utter the words that you want me to utter. Nothing. And I meant it. And when I made the video, I think people could actually tell that I meant it. And so I took this abstract problem and made it concrete. I said, no, that's not happening. And that's part of the incorporation of the shadow.
So I just think that monologue is so powerful and so timely. And yeah, September just made me think a lot about character. And as I said, when I launched the masks, I genuinely believed in some efficacy of them. I genuinely thought these do more good than they do bad. Now at this point, as I said, I just can't entertain them. And I actually ended up and once, as I said, guys, I'm learning more and more each day. I'm not perfect. I have an opinion, and that opinion can be changed. And with the masks, I actually ended up taking them down off of Gadzhi. I really didn't spend much on the stock for them, or at least comparing, to some of the other items and whatnot. So I ended up losing, if I had sold them, I would have made around 12 grand. So out of pocket, I lost 12 grand, which, at this stage in the business, it may not be a ton of money, but I don't know, that's still definitely a hit. But I realized, to me, there's nothing more important than staying true to your character. And there is nothing more important than being able to look yourself in the mirror and go, I lived my truth today. And what people don't understand is that it is so inconvenient to live your truth. It is such an inconvenience to your life to go out there and constantly search for truth and find out what is real and what is not, and question things. It is so much easier to be plugged into the matrix. And sometimes I wish I was, because it's really unfortunate. Sometimes when you see things, you can never unsee it, and life can never go back to the way it used to be. I'll give you a couple of examples of this. When I was 13, 14, I started just looking more and more into our crooked university system, and then also just finding out more and more about the mechanics behind universities and why they're so expensive. and why they're so archaic and inefficient and sluggish and just, I never understood why the price kept going up and, student results kept going down, as in, and by the way, if this was the 80s or the 90s, I would go to university. Like, I'm putting my hand up and saying, it's not like I never believed in universities. It's just, they become convoluted. Like most things start off pure, well-intentioned, and they become convoluted. Look, if the government stopped funding student loans, I'm telling you right now, the prices would drop by 90%, because then there would be some actual competition. I'm a nice guy. My programs are ridiculously cheap. Like it is, look, I don't really need to speak on that, but my programs are ridiculously cheap, and I will love the fact that I can keep them at such a competitive price point, even though I have so much infrastructure, such a large team, so much monthly expenses to keep this operation going at GrowYourAgency.com. But if I'm being entirely honest, if the government goes tomorrow and they go, you know what, we're going to give a 10,000 pound loan to anyone who wants to invest in their online education, I'm probably going to double the price of my program tomorrow. And, it's probably going to creep up after that. You know why? Because you can get away with it. And that's the same thing that's happening with the colleges and the universities. They know they can do whatever they want. But anyways, long story short, or sort of going back to my point about unseeing, once you see something, it's really, really hard to unsee it. And that was kind of me when I was like 13 and 14. I looked at like sort of the life plan for most people. Go to uni, come out with this just debilitating debt, which people don't even realize. Like a lot of uni students don't even realize the debt that they have on their shoulders. It's funny, they're even thinking like, oh, free student loans, but like, not exactly, So I remember even just being young, looking at that, and once you see a sparkle of truth, it's really hard to go back. And once you question things, it's really, really hard to go back. And from a young age, even looking at historic events that have happened, even just looking at the way, what we're told and sort of what things we're not allowed to question. Once you look at these things and you start to question them, it's really hard to unsee it. And it's really hard to ever go back to regular life. And sometimes I wish I was sort of, plugged into Matrix, because life's easier. Life is genuinely easier when you're plugged into the Matrix and you don't really have to question anything. When you question things, imagine that. Imagine living a life where you are always questioning everything in your life and everything that you believe to be true. And it is a constant war zone going on in your mind of, is this true? Is this not? Is what I believe true? Is what I believe not? But I've yet to meet a person of real character who doesn't, as I said, who doesn't spend hours and hours and hours a week agonizing and mulling over it. Because I think, it's funny, I was talking to some of the copy-paste agency students earlier in the week, and I told one of them, I was like, look, he was questioning places where he could be better as an agency owner. And he was looking at himself in the mirror and he was genuinely like questioning, like, am I a good agency owner? Am I good? Am I a good service provider to my clients? And it's funny, I told him, I was like, look, the fact that you even are asking that question and posing that question to yourself tells me everything you need to know. I told him, I was like, look, if my future daughter had a boyfriend, I would want her to date a guy who is asking himself all the time, am I a good boyfriend? Are there ways that I could show up and be a better boyfriend, rather than the guy who just thinks to himself, I know I'm a good boyfriend, right? And it's the people who question, am I a good person? Am I a good business owner? Am I a good service provider? Am I a good partner? It's the people that question, is this belief that I believe to be so true? Is this thing that, because there's always things in the dark recesses of your mind that you look at, and even about yourself, even things, dead set qualities and attributes that you think you have that you never dare to question. And as I said, I think that ability to question everything is one of the most profound skills or traits, I should say, of any people of real character that I've ever met. And this sort of whole this whole topic comes back to September. September was one, because here's the thing, even there'll be 3 or 4 months where I just chug along and I live my life, and then there's certain months where I actually just kind of have to look at myself in the mirror, look at my character, look at my attributes and my qualities, and question everything, and then sometimes I shut my world, I shut my eyes to everything that's going on in the world, and I just focus on myself or, my sphere of concern. And there's sometimes where I look at the entire world and I question things, and I question different truths. So yeah, long story short, September was a month of questioning a lot of things in the world, and it was a month where I mulled over this idea of character, and how, to me, your character is what is there when there's no one else around, when no one else is looking, and just how important that is. And it was a month where I got inspired looking at people older than me, and you guys, and by the way, these are people older than me who, may not even have any, 1/10 of the business that I have, 1/20 of the business that I have, but these are men and women that I inspire to be like, that I am in awe of, and I look at them and I go, I have such a long journey to get to the place where you are in terms of being a person of character. So there you go. That was, I believe, I think that was a bit of just like a vomit of words. So I hope that makes sense. I'm sorry, I haven't done one of these in a while. So the last thing to cover in today's September roundup is this new watch right here. So obviously you guys know that horology, fashion, music, horology, biohacking, a whole bunch of stuff. These are all stuff that are kind of like different side themes in my personal brand, and just like stuff that I talk about. And it's funny because I already kind of know in my mind what's coming up in the October roundup, and there's some really, really cool stuff coming up in terms of biohacking, different things I've been trying. I want to give you guys an update on a carnivore diet and how that has affected my autoimmune condition and how that's doing, and like there's some very, very exciting stuff coming up. But yeah, horology is also a big topic as well. So I actually picked this up on the last day of September. This right here is a 50, and once again, guys, I apologize for anyone listening to audio only. You're just gonna have to imagine this. It is a 5205G. So my first ever leather strap Patek Philippe. This is bought directly from them. Now, I have yet to ever buy anything at retail. Like, this is the first time ever buying anything directly from Patek Philippe. As many of you guys know, I have owned 3 Patek Philippes. I've owned actually that could probably be a topic for October. Owned, because there's one that I'm actually offloading some of my watch collection. And as I said, that's a topic for another video. Maybe the next October roundup, which would also be a good explanation of where I'm at in terms of cash flow, in terms of my opinion on everything that's going on in the world financially, and my outlook on the next 6 to 12 months. But as I said, I'll probably record that, in a couple days, because I'm very, very late on this one. So long story short, I have a steel Nautilus, so a 5711A, I believe it is. So I have a steel Nautilus, and then I also have a rose gold Nautilus, so a 5711R. So those two, and then I also have a rose gold Aquanaut. So I have 3 Patek Philippe's. Those were all bought at market price. This was actually bought at retail. So this is bought at retail, but this is not one of those watches where there's a wait list or this or that. I did actually have to wait a while for them to get one of these in stock. Just for me to get this specific colorway and the one I wanted. I am in love with this watch. I adore this watch. I've always wanted a Patek Philippe, and here's the thing for me. As many of you guys know, I'm super into watches, but I'm always apprehensive to I actually don't want to pass down watches to my kids, because the thing, I never want to give my kids something where they could have a sense of pride when they haven't actually accomplished anything themselves, if that makes sense. Like, I don't want to give my kid a Rolex for his 18th and make him or her feel like, I don't know, like have a sense of accomplishment or gratification from it. Like, I would want to give my kid maybe for their 18th, maybe a Jaeger LeCoultre, and I wouldn't even want to give him a Patek Philippe, if I'm being honest, because it's like, at that age, kids start to know what Patek Philippe is. As I said, maybe I want to give them a JLC, something where like their friends are not going to be like, oh, that's cool, or they would know that that's a 15 or 20,000 pound watch, Whereas if I give them this, their friends might know, or however, with inflation, whatever that amount is, then that this is a 40,000 pound watch. So I picked this up. And I actually picked it up for 38,100, I believe, or 38,800. And I actually picked it up on the final day, I believe it was September 31st, right before the price increase. And that was one of the reasons I bought this. It was because Patek Philippe did a 10% price increase. So I actually managed to pick it up 10% below, the price that it would have been the next day. So that is that. Now, I have been building my relationship up with Patek Philippe because, similar to Rolex and Richard Mille, I want to be getting these pieces at retail, because when I get them at retail, I will never sell them in a million years. So I actually, as you guys know, I've bought, I have a relationship with Richard Mille, and I've bought directly from them. So I ended up speaking to one of my representatives there, and then he put me in touch with a gentleman at Patek Philippe, and ended up kind of finessing the situation. Ended up in a very fortunate position where, as many of you guys know, the Nautilus, which I'm trying to get, the rose gold Nautilus at retail, though, as you guys know, I've paid market value for it. I had to pay $76,500, and that's actually one thing to mention that I didn't mention in the September roundup, and I don't have it on me at the moment. It's downstairs. Is the Nautilus. I actually picked up a Nautilus, a rose gold Nautilus, for £76,500, and I actually picked it up knowing that I would only keep it for 4, 5, 6 weeks, because I knew the price would creep up. And I'm actually selling it now, after 5 weeks of wear, brand new. Bought it for 76.5, selling it used, obviously buffed up and stuff like that, serviced, or not serviced, but like it's sold as unworn for 86,000. So that's pretty quick 8,000 pound profit, 9,000 pound profit, and I got to enjoy the watch for 5 weeks. What that means, though, now that I'm selling it, is I don't have one, and that is literally my favorite watch I've ever owned. The rose gold Nautilus, like, that is, to me, just perfection, ultimate perfection. So that is the watch that I'm trying to get now from Patek Philippe, and I know that it would have been a couple years with no sort of a couple years with the connections that I already have to get a rose gold Nautilus at retail. And I've always just wanted a leather strap Patek Philippe, and as I said, with the price increase as well, I was like, okay, this is a super solid, this is something sturdy, a solid investment. So end up getting this watch, and then now this means that whatever watch dealers say, at the end of the day, this will help me sort of bump up my name and edge me forward to getting a Nautilus rose gold at retail. So I think that probably I should be getting that within the next year or so. And also, once they have events, I've actually been invited to it. And this is even before I bought this, actually, so I can meet the director. Patek Philippe does some insane stuff. They've taken clients before on their private jet to Geneva. They've taken, especially if they like you. And I feel as though I made a good impression. And, obviously I'm young, I've got a big watch collection, and I'm very big into my, there's a lot of future potential there. So yeah, they really treat their clients, they also do like a train day where, they have a fully booked out train. And yeah, Patek Philippe is nuts. Patek Philippe and Richard Mille really, really take care of their clients. So yeah, that's the update. This is a new watch. I will try to remember to throw in some B-roll as well if you're watching this on YouTube of the watch, but it's beautiful, it's stunning. Just a timeless classic that will never leave I will never sell this watch. It's beautiful. So, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up today's September roundup. Hope you guys all enjoyed. I'm feeling rusty as hell. So, guys, I am not a natural born podcaster, that is for sure. And I haven't really been recording I haven't really recorded a video in like 6 weeks, if I'm honest. So, feeling a little rusty for sure. But hope you guys enjoyed, and I look forward to shooting the October roundup in literally just a few days here. So I shall see you guys soon. All right, lots of love.